whatever was at that time the government rates. There are like two sets of people as you're talking. Delhi got more populated post-independence.
जय भूमि जय भारत। दिलवालों की दिल्ली के बारे में आजकल एक बहुत फेमस चीज़ चल रही है। दिल्ली आउट ऑफ बजट जा चुकी है। दिल्ली में घर बहुत महंगे हैं, स्पेशली साउथ दिल्ली। इवन पीपल लाइक मी यूज्ड टू थिंक यार साउथ दिल्ली में घर खरीदे ही नहीं जा सकते। ऐसा क्यों है? इसके पीछे रीज़न क्या है? क्या नोएडा और गुड़गांव की मार्केटिंग की वजह से हमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें पता नहीं लग पाती दिल्ली के बारे में? आज इसी मिथ को बस्ट करेंगे आज के हमारे गेस्ट मिस्टर करण कोचर। वो दिल्ली में पिछले 20 साल से काम कर रहे हैं इन रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री। आज हम उनसे यही सारे सवालों के आंसर लेंगे कि ऐसी कौन सी जगह हैं जो आज भी अफोर्डेबल हैं, जहां आप अपना घर बना सकते हो, और दिल्ली में घर खरीदते समय आपको क्या चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए, बिकॉज दिल्ली की मार्केट इज़ टोटली डिफरेंट फ्रॉम गुरुग्राम एंड नोएडा। तो चलिए समझते हैं मिस्टर करण कोचर से कि दिल्ली की मार्केट में आप घर कैसे खरीद सकते हैं और आपको क्या क्या चीज़ें ध्यान रखनी चाहिए। हेलो भाई।
Hi, how are you?
मैं बढ़िया हूँ, आप कैसे हो?
All good.
वेलकम टू रियल एस्टेट A to Z।
Thanks a lot for inviting.
थैंक यू फॉर कमिंग। एंड भाई एक चीज़ जो पॉडकास्ट स्टार्ट करने से पहले मैं चाहता हूँ आप लोगों को थोड़ा सा अपने बारे में बताओ कि आप क्या कर रहे हो और कितने टाइम से कर रहे हो, सो दैट लोगों को पता लगे आपके बारे में।
So, myself, Karan Kochar. My firm's name is KS Associate. We are based in South Delhi and we are into real estate for last 17 years now. 10-member strong team. I started real estate back in 2006 after completing my MBA from Canada. I came back and started, and I'm a first generation realtor. So, and ably guided by my partner Sunil, who has more than 25 years experience in the same field. So collectively on board we have more than 100 years of man experience in real estate.
That's great. ओके, सो आपने एक्सपीरियंस की बात करी तो मैं एक सवाल इसमें पूछना चाहूँगा कि अभी मार्केट अगर हम बात करें, अभी हर जगह पूरे NCR की मार्केट बढ़ रही है। मेजॉरिटी लोग बात करते हैं नोएडा गुड़गांव की। दिल्ली की मार्केट का अभी क्या हाल है? दिल्ली की मार्केट इज़ इट कि सेम स्पीड से चल रही है, थोड़ा स्लो स्पीड से है, या फिर सेम ही हालात सेम ही है बेसिकली? हमको ज़्यादा पता नहीं है बिकॉज बीइंग फ्रॉम नोएडा मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा पता नहीं है दिल्ली का। तो आप थोड़ा सा दिल्ली के बारे में बताओ कि दिल्ली में अभी चल क्या रहा है।
दिल्ली देखिए, बेसिकली एज यू आर सेइंग कि मार्केट गुड़गांव की या नोएडा की बेटर चल रही है, और पीपल नो अ लॉट मोर अबाउट गुड़गांव और दिल्ली बिकॉज दोज आर अगेन मोर एडवर्टाइज्ड मार्केट्स. So developers in Delhi, they are generally, smaller developers or people who are doing houses ranging from 200 to 1000 square yard of properties. So they don't market because the number of units made are also less.
कम है।
तो अगर कोई एक आदमी 8, 10, 15 घर भी बना रहा है, so he is practically sitting on an inventory of 30-40 units. For that he is not going in FM or going into the print media or television. But yes, developers in Gurgaon or Noida, they have more number of units to sell. And how the price structure is of Delhi market versus Gurgaon or vis-a-vis Noida market. Obviously Noida, Gurgaon becomes much more affordable than the Delhi market, which is that market is now mature. The city is there for hundreds of years. Even the New Delhi is now in existence for more than 70-80 years. So obviously the capital pricing are a lot different from anywhere in Noida or Gurgaon.
इसका एक रीज़न ये भी कह सकते हैं कि जो हाई राइजेज अभी जो कल्चर आया है नोएडा गुड़गांव में, एक वो भी रीज़न है क्योंकि दिल्ली में तो हाई राइजेज बनते नहीं है।
तो देखिए, जो दिल्ली का बेसिकली लैंड स्ट्रक्चर है, तो like everybody knows, Delhi got more populated post independence, and a lot of immigrants came from different parts of India, majorly let's say from Pakistan or northern sides, and then started their journey or their lives in Delhi. That's how Delhi got more populated. And at that time, that point of time, it was more of houses. There were less concept of floors. Like today's time, we probably see a lot more. At least majority of the people living are in builder floors. So, but that time it was more houses. High rise always, it was not even question. Nobody have seen those high rises with what we see right now. But yes, everybody grows, and with the as you grow, as your resources grow, you want more facilities around. And Delhi का जो land structure है और जो land policy है, उस हिसाब से you don't have that kind of land available in Delhi.
भाई एक और चीज़ है, जैसे दिल्ली का, जैसे आपने बात करी पास की, दिल्ली में एक लीज होल्ड और फ्री होल्ड का कॉन्सेप्ट भी बहुत है, तो थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में बताओगे पहले चीज़ कि लीज होल्ड फ्री होल्ड होता क्या है और ये आया कैसे, क्योंकि नोएडा में तो नहीं है, गुड़गांव में भी नहीं है, एक ही चीज़ चल रही है दोनों में से, दिल्ली में दोनों क्यों है और इसमें डिफरेंस क्या होता है?
तो बेसिकली पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस व्हेन people started moving to Delhi per se, because that's been in North India, that was the biggest city at that time, and lot more employment and business opportunities were there. But then people were uprooted from their roots and didn't have that kind of resources at that time. So government basically provided affordable housing, as we say in today's terms. So they allotted a lot of lands to the immigrants on very subsidized rates. So the rates were, a lease rate of 1 rupee a year to 100 rupees a year was the land, leasing at that time. Okay. So that's how the whole land got distributed at that time. And different land or different colonies were, made and allotted to different people. And it stayed as leasehold. So practical difference or a usual difference in a leasehold to a freehold property, as the name suggests. So leasehold still have some say of the government. So if you want to sell a leasehold property, you still need to take approval from whomsoever is the land owning agency. It can be L&D or DD or any other land owning agency. So you need to go back to them. And if I, let's say, want to sell my property to yours, so I'll put an application that I'm a leasehold owner of this property and I want to sell this property now to you. So they will give me a written approval. Only after that I can sell it to you. Vis-a-vis, if it's been a freehold property, then we can just negotiate our terms and I can sell it to you without taking any permission from anyone. Okay. So in early 90s, late or mid 90s, then government came up with this policy of making properties freehold. So then they started taking whatever was at that time the government rates or whatever was the cost associated with it. It started taking from the owners and making the property freehold. Now majority of the Delhi, if you see, you'll come across properties which are freehold only. But yes, there are people who haven't still got it freehold, so they get it done, as and when they think it's suitable.
Okay, depends on a person if he wants to convert to the freehold. तो government ने तो अब चालू कर ही रखा है कि आप convert करा ही सकते हो.
Policy is there. Okay. Depending if you meet all the criteria, obviously they have certain compliances that you need to do. So if you follow if you fill up all those compliances, then you can get your property freehold.
Okay, and if somebody wants to buy a property, for example a freehold property, अब जैसे आपने बोला कि majority builder house builder floors बन रहे हैं, right? अगर एक आदमी है जिसको builder floor खरीदना है, तो ऐसी क्या legalities हैं? Because फ्री होल्ड से रिलेटेड या फिर उस हाउस से रिलेटेड जो वो खरीदना चाहता है, जो उसको देखनी चाहिए एज अ कस्टमर और एज एन इन्वेस्टर कि यार ये पेपर वर्क तो होना ही चाहिए.
तो मोस्टली देखिए, अगर आप कोई इफ़ यू गो एंड लुक टू बाय अ प्रॉपर्टी, फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट थिंग दैट इट शुड बी अ फ्री होल्ड प्रॉपर्टी. सो यूजुअली most of the agencies issue a conveyance deed.
Okay.
Conveyance deed is basically when the title is conveyed onto your name.
Okay.
So and it becomes a freehold property. So that is one critical document that everybody should see. Other than that, if you are looking to buy some, a floor in a building, so the building plan is there, completion certificate is there, and there are like other few documents that you see, but these 2-3 documents are the must, and it basically makes your title as a marketable title. So even if you are, looking for a loan, so banks will ask you for these properties. Another safe check anybody can do, even if you have the money and the resources available with you, it's always good to take a bank loan for a minimum sum of rupees 10, 15, 20% of the value, just to make safe your title, or double check your title. Basically, because the bank will do its due diligence before lending you any money on it. So you can always, you should hire a qualified advocate, document writer to get your title checked, and you can always take a bank loan.
Basically आपका काम बैंक कर रही है फ्री फंड में, आपको कुछ एक्स्ट्रा
कर रही है, it's a double check basically. You just can't be too sure.
Okay. अब इसमें एक और चीज़ है, जैसे आपने बोला फ्री होल्ड, तो लीज होल्ड में भी क्या घर बन रहे हैं, लीज होल्ड में भी घर बिक रहे हैं दूसरी तरीके से? बिकॉज फ्री होल्ड जो आपने बोला बिल्डर फ्लोर, वो तो सिर्फ फ्री होल्ड में बिक सकता है, तो क्या लीज होल्ड में भी हो रहा है, और अगर हो रहा है तो कैसे हो रहा है?
आज नहीं हो रहा, मतलब एटलीस्ट टू माई नॉलेज, वट एवर एक्सपीरियंस आई हैव, आई हैवंट सीन एनी leasehold new building coming up.
Okay.
In last 17-18 years, I haven't seen any new building coming up which is leasehold. Because until unless it's a freehold property, it's not a marketable title. And like in today's time, so even if a freehold versus leasehold property, if you actually look into, so if a leasehold property is coming even at a 40-45% discount to a freehold property, still it's very difficult to find a buyer for that.
अच्छा, मतलब इतना ज़्यादा चल रहा है. ठीक है. अब भाई इसमें ना एक और चीज़ है, जैसे ना मेरे को भी ऐसे काफ़ी सारे लोग मिले और आपको भी ऐसे लोग मिलते होंगे जिनको ये है कि यार खरीदा बेचा. अब ऐसे लोगों के साथ कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स भी होती हैं. अब वो क्या है कि बहुत बार क्या होता है कि खरीद बेचने से पहले वो खरीदने के लिए बयाना दे दिया. ऐसे लोगों को आप क्या बोलना चाहोगे कि यार, बिकॉज नोएडा मार्केट बहुत अलग है, दिल्ली के मार्केट में भी ऐसा हो रहा है पहली चीज़, और अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो आप उनको क्या बोलना चाहोगे कि यार दिस इज समथिंग विच यू शुड नॉट डू, या फिर अगर कर भी रहे हो तो ये प्रिकॉशंस ले लो.
तो उसमें देखिए, देयर आर लाइक टू सेट्स ऑफ पीपल एज यू आर टॉकिंग. सो वन इज समबडी हु वांट्स टू डू इट फॉर अ सेल्फ यूज. सो लेट्स से आई एम लिविंग इन अ हाउस and I want a different house, bigger, better house from that. So what I'll do, I'll sell that house and put in some money, or even with the same money, I go and, look for a different property. And one thing is, as you're saying, there are investors who, keep buying and selling properties. So I think any investor is sound enough, because if you have, dealt few times, they find out a perfect channel for them, or they made those mistakes which not to be made again. But yeah, anybody who's doing it for the first time, or who haven't done it most of the time, it's always advisable first to sell your property and then to buy. And I'll just describe it a little more on this. What happens, we have a kind of a number in our head. You know what your property can fetch you. You have a number in your head where what you can again pool in, and then you combine both numbers and go to buy a newer property. You go, search out the options. You also shortlist few options. But what happens is, you don't have the money ready. You have that idea in your mind, okay, this much my property will sell for. But selling the property is altogether a different ball game. You might find a buyer in one day. You might not find a buyer for a year also. And even when you find a buyer, to complete that transaction is altogether a different ball game. So I always suggest my client, it's always good, first sell your property, have that in your hand, and then go, search for it. Otherwise, there are, as we say, there are a lot of slips between the cup and the lip. So, and I have seen it too many times in, my profession, my professional life. So I always suggest that, but then everybody have their different preferences and, conveniences. So we try to, work around whatever our client prefers.
अब भाई जब हम बात करते हैं कि जैसे आपने बोला कि दिल्ली में इतनी सारी चीज़ें चल रही हैं, जब लोग खरीदते हैं सारी चीज़ें हैं, लेकिन कुछ लोग ऐसे भी होते हैं कि जिनको अब दे वांट्स टू, सो बेसिकली एक सर्कल चल रहा है कि सेल बाय. जो लोगों को टाइम हो गया उनको तो पता है कि इसमें क्या चीज़ें ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए, बट जो नए लोग आते हैं वो क्या है कि नई प्रॉपर्टी खरीदने से पहले, ठीक है, अपनी पुरानी प्रॉपर्टी बेचते नहीं हैं. तो उनको आप क्या कहना चाहोगे कि कौन सी चीज़ें हैं जो उनको ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए कि इफ़ यू वांट टू बिकम अ रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टर, सीजनल इन्वेस्टर, कि ये चीज़ें बेसिक हैं कि ये आपको ध्यान में रखनी ही चाहिए, उन लोगों के लिए क्या हो?
देखो, गोल्डन रूल तो इन्वेस्टमेंट का वही है कि जो भी आपके पास फंड्स हैं, ट्राई टू लुक इनटू दैट होराइजन और विद इन दैट ब्रैकेट कि आप क्या परचेज करना चाह रहे हो. बट जो लोग खरीद कर मतलब सेल्फ यूज़ के लिए ले रहे हैं, तो उनके लिए क्या होता है कि you always, they have their number in their head, कि X number is what they can, get from the sale proceeds of their existing property or existing assets also, so something which, let's say, it could be a house you are living in, it could be a house which is lying vacant, you just have it or you are putting on rent, but now you want to sell that and buy another property, pulling in some more money. It's always advisable to first sell that property and then look out for buy. You can first, for the cursory look, can go and just search out the market just to freeze out the options that you can get within your budget. But before, let's say, going for the negotiation or a final meeting with the seller of the property that you're looking to purchase, it's always good to first sell your property, have that money in your bank, and then go. because then you are sure of what you have, and whatever other sources you are looking to pull in money from, you have that number in your head. Even I always suggest to my clients, you can get a loan pre-approved from the bank. So depending on your financial, they can give you X number, how much they can loan you. So after that, you just need to get a confirmation for the property document, that get that due diligence done and get the loan processed in your name. But you at least know the number depending on your financial capability, how much the bank is willing to loan you.
अब अगर जैसे इसमें एक चीज़ है कि बाई चांस पीपल डोंट डू दिस या फिर कुछ, तो इसके अदर साइड इफ़ेक्ट्स क्या हो सकते हैं कि लोगों को जैसे जो पैसा दिया है, क्या वो पैसा मर जाता है? आप मैं थोड़ा सा इस बारे में भी बात करते हैं कि
तो देखिए, ऐसा तो नहीं होता that you lose your money altogether, but yes, there's a term which we use in any agreements that we draft or we execute, is the earnest money. So just for example, you bought a property, let's say for 100 rupees, and you put in advance of, let's say, 10, 15, 20 rupees, whatever is the agreed amount between the buyer and the seller. So in case the agreement is not going through for any X number of reasons, obviously if it's a genuine reason from any of the sides, so if a buyer is committing default on that promise, so out of that whatever initial amount that you have given as an advance money, there is always a fixed amount which is a earnest money. So earnest money, let's say if you have put in an advance of 15 to 20 rupees, so that could be 2 rupees, 3 rupees, 4 rupees. So on that's the earnest money that a seller will deduct and return to you. Or is the same criteria with the seller also. So if the seller is not going through with the agreed agreement, they can on top of the advance money, they can add on that earnest money and return it back to you. But again, speaking from my practical experience, I haven't seen a case where any money was deducted or any money was added on top of it. People are by nature people are good. Nobody wants to take anybody's money. So it might take up a little more time, but the money always comes back.
Okay. अब मेरा ना एक पर्सनल क्वेश्चन है आपसे, जैसे मैं नॉर्थ दिल्ली में पला बड़ा हूँ, तो नॉर्थ दिल्ली में जब मैं बड़ा हो रहा था तो साउथ दिल्ली के बारे में जो भी सुनने को मिलता था कि यार साउथ दिल्ली इज़ वे टू एक्सपेंसिव, कि अगर साउथ दिल्ली में घर खरीदना है तो 10-15 करोड़ से नीचे कुछ आने का नहीं है। तो एक ये मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि साउथ दिल्ली सच में इतना महंगा है, पहली चीज़। दूसरा, वहाँ पे मिनिमम टिकट साइज, इफ समबडी वांट्स टू बाय अ हाउस, तो कितने पैसे के आसपास घर आने चालू हो जाते हैं?
तो देखिए, साउथ दिल्ली महंगा, अगेन सी आई ऑलवेज से दिस, एवरीथिंग इज कंपैरेटिव। महंगा है इन सेंस टू व्हाट यू आर कंपेयरिंग इट टू।
ठीक है,
तो हाँ ठीक है, अगर आप कहीं और you compare it to different parts of Delhi, South Delhi is the most prime and posh areas from a lot of other areas. So yes, it's expensive, but it's not like it's out of the reach of everyone. So the numbers that you're talking about, yes, if you're looking to buy an independent house, then you might consider something upwards of 10-11 CR to have a house which now you also owns the land. So yes, you are looking at that number, but as the most people are living in floors these days, so if you are looking for, let's say, a 1400-1500 square feet of floor, which gives you a good 3-bedroom house, so you can start getting it anywhere upwards of 2.5 CR, and then obviously it keeps going on depending how much you are looking into. So 2.5 CR, I'm telling you something which is on a 150 square yard area, will give you about 11-1200 square feet of space.
ठीक, और ये किस एरिया के आसपास, मतलब
साउथ दिल्ली में, मतलब अराउंड जीके, ग्रीन पार्क, इन दोज एरियाज यू कैन स्टिल गेट हाउसेस इन दैट रेंज. अच्छा, नॉट इट्स कंप्लीटली अनअफोर्डेबल, स्टिल नॉट.
ओह ओके. नहीं, क्योंकि मैंने भाई जितना भी सुना, मतलब आई डोंट वर्क इन दिल्ली, बट मैंने जितना भी सुना था पहले, अभी तो ऑब्वियसली आई डोंट नो द मार्केट, बट पहले क्योंकि 8 करोड़ 10 करोड़ नॉर्मली इससे नीचे नहीं आता, बट जैसे आप बता रहे हो तो इतना तो मतलब नॉर्मली नोएडा में भी है, 2-2.5 करोड़
नोएडा में है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू कंपेयर इन टुडेज टाइम, नॉर्थ दिल्ली, ईस्ट दिल्ली is kind of almost, if not the same, is pretty close to South Delhi pricing. So people are getting affluent in all areas, and when you go and you experience that affluence, you want to buy a house or different assets that you want to add to your portfolio. So obviously, when the demand is there, the pricing will adjust it accordingly.
अब बात करते हैं थोड़ा सा फ्यूचर के बारे में कि अभी जैसे मार्केट बढ़ रही है, मार्केट पिछले 1-1.5 साल में काफ़ी बढ़ी है, बट लोगों का जो ये सवाल मुझे हर जगह से आता है कि यार मार्केट जितनी जल्दी बढ़ी है ना, उतनी जल्दी अब नीचे भी जाएगी। तो फ्यूचर क्या दिखाई देता है आपको अभी मार्केट का, कि कहाँ जा रही है मार्केट, और अभी है वी आर देयर, अभी इतनी जल्दी नहीं गिरने वाली है, या मार्केट सच में गिरती भी है रियल एस्टेट की? पहले तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ आपसे।
So when we talk about real estate historically has always been a slow market to react. So real estate will never react like a stock market. So tomorrow there's a bomb blast, as Corona broke out, or there was demonetization, or X number of things has happened in last 8 to 10 years. But real estate doesn't work like that. That something which was worth 100 rupees will come crashing down to 10 rupees tomorrow.
Slow.
It will always react slow. It takes its time, it bites it, sleeps on it, and then it reacts. And it is also a very good thing why it is slow, because that's the costliest purchase of anybody's life. I always look at it like that. Either you put in all your sources, all your savings, resources, and buy a property, or it takes up a lot of your majority savings to buy a real estate. And it should not happen that something you bought for X number of rupees and tomorrow doesn't worth even 20-30% of that. So it works always slow, and it also grows slow. It's not something is 100 and tomorrow it's 200 and then it's 300. It doesn't work like that. It will always grow in patches. It will always grow, very organic fashion. So that's how always real estate been. It will always work in circles. There will be good time, when there is, as we call, aggressive or favorable times to buy real estate. That patch always lies, historically it always lasted 3 to 5 years. There will be times again after every boom there will be I won't call it a bust. It's more a stagnant period. So if anybody who has been actively looking into real estate from 2013-14 onwards till 2021, the period was not so favorable. The prices either stagnated at the same level, it went down for a little while on different occasions, but it was more or less same values. But last like 1.5 years, market have been looking upwards, and I think the period should continue for another like couple of years at least.
Okay, तो अभी टाइम है खरीदने का.
Real estate, you can, there's no better time to buy real estate than today. After 10-15 years, it always look cheaper.
वो तो आई एग्री, बट जैसे अभी मैंने कुछ प्रीवियस जो पॉडकास्ट जितने भी गए, तो लोगों के कमेंट्स बहुत आ रहे हैं इसको लेके कि यार बढ़ गया मार्केट ना 1.5 साल में, उनको दिख रहा है कि यार मार्केट बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है, तो अब मार्केट उतना ज़्यादा नहीं बढ़ेगा. लेकिन ये नहीं दिख रहा है कि यार पिछले 8-10 साल से ना स्टैग्नेंट भी बढ़ा हुआ था.
देखिए उसमें मेरा हमेशा ना एक क्वेश्चन रहता है कि व्हाई यू आर बाइंग रियल एस्टेट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. सी इफ समथिंग यू आर बाइंग फॉर सेल्फ यूज, इट जस्ट डजंट मैटर.
फिर तो इमोशनल डिसीजन है.
मोर देन इमोशनल, इट्स समथिंग यू नीड इट फॉर योर यूज. If you're looking to invest and sell it, or flip, as we famously call flipping houses, if you're not flipping houses, then it really doesn't matter. You need something, you need a bigger house, you need a better house, go buy it today.
ठीक है.
In whatever resources you have, just buy it, because any house that you buy, I always think at least you're going to live in at least the next 5 to 10 years. So 10 years, whenever you're gonna sell, you'll always find it at, you're selling at a better price then.
ज़्यादा ही मिलेगा.
Yes, if you're looking to flip that house in next 6 to 12 months, then you might study and see what kind of market it is, it will last or not last, what are the pricing that you're buying. But yes, if you're going to live into it, there's a famous thing, or a popular thing I always quote. So you might have heard yourself, people say, my father had bought this house for 10,000 rupees, now it was 10 crore rupees, and this and that. So there was a course I was doing, and in that the instructor told me, and I really remembers. So if that money grew because you let it grow. You were sitting on it, it was a passive thing. If let's say a neighborhood realtor come every day and put a slip under your door that okay, you bought it for 10,000, now it's 11,000, now it's 12,000, now it's 13,000. I can bet on it. You can't go past 20,000 rupees. As it works in stock market, you buy something for 100 rupees, then you keep looking at the screen. 105, 110. You just can't wait.
वो 30 साल सिर्फ कहने का ही होता है उसमें.
30 साल because it was something, you let it grow. It was a passive thing. You never needed that money. That's why it grew. You gave it that time, that multiplication time.
हाँ, मतलब इवन आई डिड अ पॉडकास्ट ऑन रियल स्टेट एंड स्टॉक्स, थोड़ा मैंने उसमें बात की थी, तो लोगों के रिप्लाई आने लगे, नहीं ये म्यूचुअल फंड्स बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ता है या स्टॉक बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ते हैं. तो आई ऑल्सो हैव द सेम क्वेश्चन. मैं भाई कितने लोग तुम जानते हो अपने में, अपने आसपास, जिन्होंने 30 साल स्टॉक होल्ड किया है?
कंपाउंडिंग नहीं होने देता ना.
बट हर किसी के घर में है जिसने 30 साल घर होल्ड किया है.
घर होल्ड किया है क्योंकि आप उस पर रह रहे थे.
हाँ. तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली आपका पैसा बढ़ा ही है. और स्टॉक में वो ऑप्शन है नहीं, तो दिखता है कि यार चलो ठीक है खत्म करो, अब इसको डबल हो गया, अब बेचो इसको फटाफट.
एक्चुअली विद स्टॉक यू डोंट फील दैट काइंड ऑफ ओनरशिप. When you buy a land or when you buy a house, you feel that kind of ownership. That ownership is important.
Okay.
When, in fact, again, I should not be speaking into the stock portfolio, but
वो तो कहीं बार से निकल के आ गया हम.
But when you buy a stock, basically, then you become a owner of that company. You should feel that ownership. People don't feel that ownership.
अब so my last question to you is कि अब लोग जो साउथ दिल्ली में घर खरीदना चाहते हैं, राइट, मल्टीपल लोकेलिटीज़ हैं, मल्टीपल चीज़ें हैं, हाउ कैन यू हेल्प देम और हाउ डू यू हेल्प देम बाय न्यू कस्टमर? ठीक है, आप कैसे, आप थोड़ा सा अपने प्रोसेस के बारे में बताओ लोगों को, सो दैट पीपल हु वांट्स टू बाय हाउसेज इन साउथ दिल्ली, हाउ दे कैन कॉन्टेक्ट यू.
So we are based in South Delhi, and our major area of focus is in South Delhi, and we try to help our clients depending again on their requirements, what kind of budget they are looking into. Mostly what they want. It's the initial 10-15 minutes interview that I do with the client. That's the most important thing, where I ask where they are living, where they are working, where the kids are studying. So depending on then I also try to advise them what areas can suit them, or what are their general area of interest. Are they into any sporting activities, or they want to enjoy some theater, or they are into some art. So living close to that place will always make that living more fulfilling, more satisfying for them. So I try to have that 5, 10, 15 minutes of conversation with every new client that comes in, and then we try to advise based on our experience and expertise that these are the places that you can see and explore. Rest obviously it's their choice.
And where's your office?
My office is in Jangpura Exchange.
Okay, yes. Cool. मैं बाकी आपकी सारी डिटेल्स नीचे डाल दूँगा. People
Sure. Thanks a lot.
बाकी thank you so much for coming today, bhai.
Pleasure is all mine.
It was a great session.
Pleasure is all mine.
इस पॉडकास्ट में हमने बात की दिल्ली की मार्केट, इन शॉर्ट पूरे दिल्ली के बारे में क्या चल रहा है एंड ऑल. स्पेसिफिकली हमने बात की साउथ दिल्ली में क्या चल रहा है, क्या रेट्स चल रहे हैं, एंड आप किस बजट तक वहाँ घर खरीद सकते हो. अगर दिल्ली से रिलेटेड आपके कुछ और भी सवाल हैं जो आपको लगता है कि यार पेपर वर्क से रिलेटेड है, किसी भी चीज़ से रिलेटेड है, देन कमेंट डाउन बिलो एंड आई आंसर ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस. पर्सनली अगर आप कोई कंसल्टेशन चाहते हैं, देन यू कैन मेल मी ऑल्सो ऑन माई मेल ID. आई एम ऑल्सो अवेलेबल ऑन इंस्टाग्राम विद द नेम ऑफ रियल एस्टेट A to Z. तो इस पॉडकास्ट को शेयर करके शो अस सम लव. मैं आपको मिलूंगा नेक्स्ट पॉडकास्ट में. तब तक के लिए जय भूमि, जय भारत.